Alright, it's been a while. I haven't really posted a whole lot of videos as of recent. I've been starting to stream a little bit more if you want to hop over on the Twitch and check that out. But we've just done our ACC highlights of a race that I did a couple days ago, one of the Thursdays prior to its upload here. And we've done another video that should either be up or coming soon of a three-part thing of tier lists, just like this one here, of F1. The first one is going to be F1 drivers on how I like them, just kind of how I respect them, like my personal opinions of them. Second one, to differentiate it a little bit, is we're doing my opinions on the team liveries, not the teams themselves and how they're performing, anything like that, just what I think of their liveries. And third one is we're going to be trying to predict the end of the year for F1 23. We're going to be trying to predict that final drivers championship tally. But we should have that F1 drivers up already. If not, it'll be up shortly. And I wanted to go with my favorite band here, Starset. I wanted to go through a tier list. These are all the songs that they've made up to their newest album, Horizons. Um, Waiting on the Sky to Change with Breaking Benjamin's not on this list, though I would put that in an SS. So we're going to try and get right into it and try and get rolling. We've got a couple of songs here from the various albums. So let's get into it. Right with Alchemy. Alchemy, I'm going to give it an S. It's very good. It's got some hard hitting moments, but I think you have to listen to kind of the whole album and listen to it in order uh, to kind of not get the message, but to get the full effect from the ending of the previous song, which I believe was This Endless Endeavor. It might be Otherworldly. I'm just trying to remember the order of the album in my head, but you get the full effect from that. Annihilated Love. It's kind of a breakup song, a post breakup that someone surprise bombs them, and it's just like a heartbreak and being like, why did you do this to me? Uh, Still a very good song, very hard hitting rather than uh like whiny or anything of that. Uh, Anti Gravity. Not one of my favorite Starset songs, but it feels hard to rate anything kind of low for them because it I, I it just everything's good in my eyes about them from Starset, so it's really hard to judge that in my eyes, but it's a C tier, and we're gonna do bringing it down B tier. I do a lot of people don't think this, but I think Vessels is probably my favorite album from them. That's their second album here with the kind of triangle pyramid type shape. My second favorite is the Divisions here with the star. In fact, I've got the Division star as a sticker on the back of my car. Uh, Horizons is my third. Their first one is my least favorite, but that being said, I think it's got a couple of bangers in it. And we're gonna go back to the Earth. S. This is not really meant to be like a true song. It's kind of at least I don't think it is, in my opinion. Um, but it does tie together the album very well, and it's good for a listen over and over because it's a semi-short song. It's I think just over 2 minutes long, but it's I can't say mostly instrumental, but the words, the lyrics kind of cut off about 3/4 of the way through the song, and it just kind of goes. It's one of my favorite songs because it kind of feels like freeing almost. Like well, you're falling back to the earth, but it feels like you're shot up in a rocket, and then you kind of hit the top, everything goes away, and you're floating for a bit, and then in the floating, you've got like time to think, and then you start to fall and come back to reality, but you've got a lot more clarity as you fall. Carnivore, I go back and forth with this one. It's gonna get an S tier, between SS or S. Just because this is one of the original songs that got me into Starset, so it has a special spot in my heart. I was gonna say in my soul, but I don't know if it's that deep. But it's got a special spot in my heart. I've been wanting to go to a Starset concert for a long time. In fact, I've been waiting to see if they're gonna do a tour later here in 2023. See if I can make that happen. Like I said, I just love to go. I don't really know what else to say. It's just a dream of mine to get to one of their concerts, and I had the chance earlier this year to take it, and I didn't, and I kind of regret it. And I really hope I get the opportunity later this year or next year to get to one of their songs, one of their concerts. I really want to go. But getting back into the list, we're going with Dark on Me. This is a bit of a softer, semi-smoother song from theirs. I love obviously the space theme, but this one feels a little bit more flowy. It's going na na na. That's the not the music at all for it, but it's just it kind of up and down, and it's a fairly sad song. But it's not like a bit of a mess of what the song De-Evolution is. Because this just goes and goes and goes. It gets a little break in the center, and then it just goes and goes. Um, so it's not kind of a flowy song in that. Die for You, also an S. This is again, they a lot of their songs are love songs, breakup songs, stuff like that. Foretellings of the future, but I really like them. They're a bit on the harder side, but they also are their own sound. Because I believe they describe themselves as a cinematic rock versus anything in particular. They just kind of do what they do, and they create their whole own universe of this. Disappear. I'm trying to remember which one this is just off the top of my head. I don't I don't like how it's introduced. I'm gonna give it a B. I believe it's introduced at the end of De-Evolution. I believe that's the song prior to it in the album, and it's like a broken down carnival of like from like the 1920s. Like, oh, come look at this, like a snake oil salesman almost. But then it's like that he's been ghosted, or like the person that they're in love with has been there but not like there, that they just don't care anymore. Um, and he's like, how long, but it it's an alright song. Like I said, I feel bad putting some of these like in B and C tier because I listen to all of these songs still. Like that, it doesn't matter if I even put a song in D tier. It's it's a song that I'm still going to listen to because it's the whole list is something I'd listen to. Diving Bell, a sad song. Again, um, I really like it. Uh, I sing it to myself at work, and people stare at me like I'm crazy because it is that sad. Like one of the lines is, "If I stare into the abyss, will the abyss stare into me?" I'm working, and someone will overhear me say that, and they're like, "What is wrong with this guy?" It's it's whatever. Dreamcatcher, A. I really like how hard this goes. Um, but one of the it sounds too similar to Tunnel Vision for me down here, but I don't think it's nearly as good as Tunnel Vision. And again, Down with the Fallen. I like this. It's a nice, um, I can't say happy song because it's being like I'm so low that like I can't get out, but it's also like very upbeat and very happy about that. Earthrise is another like love song, which is a wonderful take on like a sunrise, with their space theme being as like watching the Earth rise with you. So being on a space station, being on the moon, being somewhere where you can see the Earth and watching the Earth come past the sun. But it's yeah, I really like it. Echo is a little bit of a sad song. I'm gonna give it an SS. It's let's see, it's about like it's kind of in the realm of Diving Bell, like of being so low that you need to like you can't get help, but then Echo is kind of the realization that you've had help all along. It's both like you just stuck in your echo chamber of just bad things happening and just being able, but also the echo of like you do something and something's following. Like it bounces back to you. Everglow. This is the final song of the Vessels album. This is a very smooth song. I I don't really know the words to describe it, but it's very smooth. I enjoy it very much. Um, if you have any interest at all, like I would genuinely, I would listen to any of these songs, and I can give recommendations. I like to personally watch reaction videos of people reacting to these songs. They're not a huge band. Fault Line, also SS. You'll notice a trend, even though I prefer Vessels and it's probably my favorite album. Like I said, a lot of the Division songs with the star are gonna be put up here. This is like not knowing who's in a fight, like a relationship fight, not knowing who to blame, who's at fault. It's yeah, kind of a play on words of that. But it's also like earthquake, fault line that like there's lasting impacts of every fight. Um, but it also figuring out like obviously with earthquakes, which tectonic plate hit, which one's at fault for the earthquake? Is one at fault? Are they both at fault? There's so much, and then there's just so much friction there. Frequency is a song I've been listening to a lot more. I'm gonna only say it's an A tier, but it's like it's kind of the same but opposite of Disappear. That Disappear is like figuring out how long they've been gone and like kind of taken aback by it, whereas Frequency is realizing that they're gone and tuning back into their frequency, kind of falling back in love. Um, Obviously, the songs from the one with the face here is Horizons, and that's the newer album. Vessels here is their second album. Uh, we're gonna go right into Gravity of You. Not a huge fan. Apparently, I'm not a fan of Gravity, because Anti Gravity and Gravity of You. The first song I think I have to put in D tier is Halo. I like a lot of parts in it, but it's not something. But at the same time, you can kind of see upward trend here of these are from Transmissions, their first album, and songs, the newer songs are kind of rising to the top. So it's again, the lower songs are their older songs, but they're figuring out their own image and stuff like that. So I can't really fault them on that. Icarus, one of my favorite songs. It's about the legend of Icarus and just kind of their take on it. It Has Begun isn't really a song, it's the introduction to an album, but nonetheless, I like it. It's the introduction to the first album. I'll drop it to B tier. Infected was released as a single before it was on one of the albums. I kind of got tired of hearing it just because I listened to the single so many times, so I'm gonna rate it as an A tier. But I did listen to it. It was on one of my Spotify Wrapped as one of my like top 5 songs, I think it was. So it's really good enough to make it there, but I listened to it way too much. Into the Unknown is, yeah, kind of about forging your path forward and like embracing what you don't know so that you can kind of push forward and become anew. Don't mind the different shirt. It's the next day. I ran out of time before I had to go to work. So we're gonna finish off this, and we're gonna keep going. That's really all I got. Um, Last of all, another song I've been listening to recently. A tier. I have to put "Leaving This World Behind" in SS. It's the most listened to song of all of 2022 for me. At least according to my Spotify Wrapped, which is the majority of where I listen to my music. But it's uh yeah, it's not the song I expected to be on top, but it definitely is. It deserves that S tier. Panifest, SS as well. Um, Again, one of the songs that brought me into brought me back to Starset. It was. Did we get to it yet? No, it's actually the one we're getting to next. I say it was Monster, Carnivore, and Manifest. I'm only gonna give Monster an S tier as well. Um, I think it's a higher ranking than Carnivore, but it is in the same tier as Carnivore. That yeah, Monster. So I originally, as most people probably would have heard of Starset from My Demons. I heard of them a long time ago, and then we're gonna get into it a little bit later here, but if I can find it, Satellite is the song that I found them again on, and I was like, oh, this is a cool band. They're kind of upbeat, kind of poppy, and so I started listening to Monster. I just looked up. I was looking at the album Vessels here, and I was like, oh, that's cool. And then I kind of forgot about them for it wasn't very long. It was a month or two, and then I found, or I went back to My Demons. I was like, okay, I'm gonna relive the old times. Found Carnivore on the album. I was like, okay, cool. Again, forgot like not paying attention that Starset's the band. I don't pay attention to bands very often. I'm terrible with band names. Absolutely horrible. And then I found Manifest. And then I was it just popped up in one of my recommended things with Spotify, obviously because I'd listened to all of the other Starset songs, My Demons, Carnivore, Monster. Um yeah, like I had listened to all of that, and Manifest showed up, and I was like, oh, this is cool. I was like, this goes hard, and I still hadn't at the time put this together that it was the same band, but then it clicked at one time because I was sitting in my office, and I I was just I went to their Spotify page to be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna look up the Starset band, and then I saw My Demons was their number one song at the time. I think Carnivore was number 2 and Monster was number 3 or something. And I was like, what? This is the same thing. So then I started going through all their albums and I started just listening a bunch. And I started getting really into them. And shortly after is when the Horizons album released. So yeah. And we're going to go with. I don't actually think My Demons is like a super great song, but it's kind of a staple and it's what draws a lot of people to Starset. So I'm gonna give it the credit it's due, and it's an A tier. Um, it's definitely worth listening because I think it'll hook you. But it's It's good. It's very good. Otherworldly. Um, I always mix Otherworldly and Endless Endeavor up. So we're gonna go. One of them's an S tier. One of them's an A tier. I think Otherworldly's the love song. They just they kind of sound similar in my opinion, but they're two different messages. Um, yeah. Otherworlds and these probably my favorite Starset song. It's between Otherworlds and these or Where the Skies End. So we're just gonna grab that and put that up there as well. It's really close between probably these three, but more so these two as what my actual favorite Starset song is. Perfect Machine gets to be a little weird. But I like it. Again, I think it's deserving of S, if not A, at the worst. Um, let's get a point of no return is B tier. I don't have much to say about this. It's a solid song. It's same with Rise and Fall. I don't have many words to say about either of those. Um, they're good songs. They hit. That's about what I got. Ricochet is a song that I go very back and forth on. Like some days it's an SS, some days it's a D. It just so it's gonna earn itself a B tier, in my opinion, and that's probably controversial because that's one of the most recommended songs. Anytime I look up a Starset reaction, Ricochet's one of the most recommended songs for them to watch because I would say it's kind of the most medium ground Starset song, which is probably the reason I don't enjoy it as much, but that's also probably the reason it swings back and forth so much because it's a softer song ish, like Everglow or like Gravity of You, but it also then does go a bit harder, like Manifest, Fault Line, Perfect Machine. So it's middle of the ground. It swings back and forth. I think it probably is undeserving of a B tier. I think it probably deserves to be a little bit higher. It's it just is kind of whatever. Satellite SS. I know you probably shouldn't be putting as many songs, or I shouldn't be putting as many songs in the SS tier, just because it's meant to kind of be the exclusive one. I just love Starset so much. Speaking, we're gonna put our first Divisions album or Divisions album song there, and it's D tier. I don't really vibe with Solstice. I still listen to it for sure. Something Wicked is a song that I've been listening to like crazy as well. Um, Starlight is a love song. I've been listening to that again a lot recently. The big couple that I listen to is Other Worlds and These, Where the Skies End, Satellite, Something Wicked, Back to the Earth, Into the Unknown, Starlight, Perfect Machine, and a couple of these down here, such as like Telekinetic, Telepathic, Trials, Unbecoming, and Waking Up. We're gonna go right into Stratosphere. It's an A tier. It really depends on I think how you feel about this song because it goes hard, but it also is softer. It's kind of the same as Ricochet, but I think it's a little bit of a better song than Ricochet. Symbiotic. Every album's gotta have one bad song, like Halo, Solstice, Gravity U, Symbiotic. Um, yeah, that's just kind of what I think. You're not gonna be a banger on banger on banger with every single song on every single album. You're gonna have some bad ones. There's a couple there. Endless Endeavor, B tier. Um, while I do like the progression of Horizons over Divisions, I do think the slightly harderness and more grittiness of Divisions wins out a little bit, in my opinion. And speaking of that, A tier or S tier. Yeah, Telekinetic is a very good song, and I'm gonna pair it with Telepathic. I love to play these two back to back. I love to play Telepathic before Telekinetic, but they share a very similar message, but two different ways. Obviously, Telepathic's in your mind. Telekinetic is moving stuff with your mind. Because like Telepathic is like, or the song Telepathic rather is with like the person getting into their head, messing with them, and they're like, and they're just like they're thinking about it and they can't get out of their head. Whereas Telekinetic, the message of the song is like, again, they're in their head, but it's making them do things. It's almost like crippling that like they're afraid to go out, rather than Telepathic is just like it influences their thoughts. Telekinetic is more about thinking of them influences their actions. Obviously, as Telepathic and Telekinetic are. Telescope is kind of about finding your love. It's gonna go to C. Future is now. Yeah, also a C. Breach, opening song to the Horizons album. A tier. I thought it was such a banger when I heard it for the first time, and it was probably one of my favorite songs on the album. When I first heard the Horizons album, but now it's kind of fallen a couple of places because, like I said, I've gotten like Annihilated Love, De-Evolution, Something Wicked, Icarus, Leaving This World Behind Her, all above it now. Trials, S tier, only because I listened to the original of this, I listened to their reimagine, and I listened to the satellite remix of Trials. I can't get enough of any of them. It's three variations on the same song. They're all fairly similar, those three different variations. Probably the reimagined by Starset themselves is the most different. And I listened to all three. Hell, I'd listen to all three of them back to back to back. Tunnel Vision, S tier. Another one of my top songs of 2022. It's kind of about, obviously, like Tunnel Vision, you focus on one thing and you become blind to everything else, as Tunnel Vision is. Unbecoming's probably the most, well, not the most recent song that I've latched onto, but one of the most. And then same thing with Waking Up as Trials. It's S tier just because of the fact of like, I listened to it. There's another version I can't remember that I listened to, and then I listened to the Champagne Drip remix, and I love them. These are my like Starset tier list. Definitely if you're getting into Starset, some of the songs I would recommend probably would be Icarus, Leaving This World Behind, probably Satellite, Unbecoming, Everglow, the two Telepathic Telekinetic, Tunnel Vision. Definitely My Demons, even though it is a bit down here. Starlight, Stratosphere. I'm just trying to think of the other ones on transmissions. Dark on Me, probably Telescope. Yeah, those are just some of the recommendations. If you're looking to take a little listen to Starset, I'm not sponsored by them. They're just my favorite band, and I thought I'd give them a little respect. Because I want to be able to make it to one of their concerts one day. So I want to spread awareness. I want them to have more concerts. But that's what I got here. I've got the other parts of those Formula One videos coming soon. This should be this one should be out right between part 1 and part 2. So if this is out, you should be able to go watch part 1, and part 2 should be just following. So thank you very much. Peace.